This is Mystery Babylon. Today's video is probably going to upset a whole bunch of you because you worship the beast and because you live in a certain country. And you'll figure out which certain country that is here by the end of this video. According to YouTube, a vast majority of my viewers live in this certain country, and they more than likely worship the beast. So if you want to know who Mystery Babylon is, continue watching this video and I'll see you on the other side. Revelation 17 verse 5 says, "And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth." 17:6 says, "And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration." 17:7, "And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns." Alright, so we got a whole slew of information right there that tells us a little bit about who Mystery Babylon is. Well, she's got 7 heads, 10 horns, and she sits upon a beast. Alright, 17:8 says, "The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is." So we have something else here. In 17:8, we learned that the beast comes out of the bottomless pit. Where else did we see that? We saw that in the 5th trumpet. It says, "And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the bottomless pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit." That was Revelation 9, verse 1 and 2. If you go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 8, it says, "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." That we also saw in 17:8. "And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold, worship, the beast that was, and is not, and yet is." So we see that in Revelation 13:8. "All that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." Quick note, we must read these scriptures from John's point of view, not our point of view. We look at it from our point of view, we're in 2021. John wasn't in 2021 when he had these visions. He was somewhere else. We're going to find out where. And it's important to find out where to know who Mystery Babylon is. Where was he? It says in Revelation 17, verse 3, "So he carried me away into the spirit, into the wilderness." Okay, so we know he's in the wilderness. "And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." So that's Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So that's what he's seeing when he's in the wilderness. Where's the wilderness? And then he gives us some more information. Revelation 17:11 tells us, And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goes into perdition. The beast that was, past tense, is not, current tense. So where he is at in the wilderness is. So he's in the is, the present tense. But is not, which means the beast is not at that point. Wherever he is at in the wilderness, which is wherever he's at in the wilderness is time. We don't know what he was seeing and what time this was that he was in. We're going to find out. It says, even he is the eighth, which means he comes after, future. John's point of view would be the is. This means that John's point of view from the wilderness in 17 verse 3 is between the end of the sixth and the beginning of the eighth. So the seventh beast. That's where he's seeing this wilderness from, if that makes sense. Why? Because he tells us even he is the eighth and is of the seven and goes into perdition. So we know that there were seven before that. And he goes into perdition. So the beast that was, so it used to be. All right. Currently is not, right now. Even he is the eighth and is of the seven. So there's seven prior to this. But he is not right now, but he used to be. So he could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. He is the eighth. And he goes into perdition. The beast kingdom that John was seeing is decoded in Daniel chapter 7. Verse 3 says, and 4 beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion, and he had eagle's wings. And I beheld, to the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. That was Daniel verse 4. Daniel 5 says, and I behold another beast, a second, like unto a bear, and it had raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Daniel 7:6. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon it the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. And the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Daniel 7:7 says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. All right, so now we have 10 horns again. Daniel 7:7 says that it had 10 horns. So Daniel 7:7 and Revelation 17:7 both talk about 10 horns. Revelation 17, we're going to go back to Revelation for a moment. It's 17 verse 12 says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no power or kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So now we know what the 10 horns are, and we know that the 10 horns are on the beast, which Mystery Babylon sits on. Okay, Revelation 17 verse 7 tells us that the beast had 10 horns, and Mystery Babylon sat on her. Okay, scarlet-colored beast. And then Daniel 7:7 told us that that beast had 10 horns. So now we know which beast it is, the 4th beast. At this point in time, John said that they had not received power as yet. As yet means that they have not come about yet, which tells us more about John's point of view as being before the 4th beast. These 10 kings I'm going to submit to you were a group of nations that had formed in the Roman Empire area. They were the Heruli, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Suevi, the Huns, Franks, Lombards, and Anglo-Saxons. Well, we know what a few of these nations are. The Anglo-Saxons, that's the English. The Franks, well, that'd be the French. And the Visigoths, well, that's Italians. And the Ostrogoths, Vandals, Heruli, those were all Italians as well, basically. The Burgundians, they lived in northern. There's the Heruli, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Suevi, the Huns, the Franks, Lombards, and Anglo-Saxons. Just so happens, 3 of those nations got destroyed and taken over. We're going to find out why here. Daniel goes on in the rest of the chapter, chapter 7. 7:19 says, "Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet." Daniel 7:23, "Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces." Verse 24, "And the 10 horns out of his kingdom are 10 kings." The 10 horns out of his kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise up after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So not only do we have 10 horns or 10 kings, we have an 11th one that comes up after them. And it says that he shall subdue 3 kings, 3 of the 10. Okay? So if one comes up after them and subdues 3 of the first 10, what do you have left? Well, now you have 7 horns. And that is important. Do not forget that. It is 7 horns. By the end of this video, you're going to be like, wow, are you serious? That other that shall arise, I'm going to submit to you, was Pope Vigilus in 538 AD, who subdued the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths. That leaves 7 of those 10 nations remaining. In Daniel 7:24, that he shall subdue 3 kings. And then before that, we talked about which kings those 10 kings were. The Heruli, the Vandals, the Ostrogoths, the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Suevi, the Huns, the Franks, the Lombards, and the Anglo-Saxons. The first 3 are the ones that were plucked up, that were subdued. And in the year 538 AD, Pope Vigilus, he subdued the Heruli, the Vandals, and the Ostrogoths. Daniel 7:25, "And he shall speak words, great words, against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a times and dividing of time." The he there is talking about the one that comes up after them, which was Pope Vigilus in 538 AD. "He shall speak great words against the Most High," which he did, "and he shall wear out the saints of the Most High," which he did. Daniel 7:26 says, "But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end," which did happen. Okay? Now the Pope is a position. It's not just one man. They pass power down to other men. Power that's not theirs, it's passed to them. They receive it. They didn't have it to begin with. Okay? And it says, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. A history lesson here. Pope Pius VI was captured and exiled by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1796, which happened just as a beast with two horns like a lamb arose from the earth. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And that was Revelation 13:3, by the way. Go to Revelation 13:11 through 12. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast, which was before him. And he causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So in this case, it's talking about the fourth beast, but it says the first beast. So now there's two beasts in question here. You have the one that came up out of the earth with two horns like a lamb, and then you have the one that subdued three kings, and his power and dominion was taken away from him in 1796 by Napoleon Bonaparte. So it says by the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, which his wound was healed. And I'm gonna prove it to you right now. The papacy was never the same after 1796, when Pope Pius was captured and exiled by Napoleon Bonaparte. This is important. You're gonna notice that something changes. The deadly wound of exile and the topple of the papacy's empire occurred just as a certain nation was rising up out of the earth. And that occurred just as they had ratified a document, and that followed, which was the first real U.S. election to John Adams in 1797. The seat of Caesar would be healed by its resurrection in the future, by the papacy's resurrection in the future. That resurrection would be done by the Lateran Treaty of 1929. Since that time, the U.S. has slowly taken on the image of its predecessor, Rome, according to the design of official buildings and its infrastructure. If you examine the infrastructure and the buildings that represent the U.S., we can see obvious similarities, namely the Capitol building, the White House, the Statue of Liberty, and the Washington Monument. So yes, what I am telling you here is the beast that rose out of the earth with two horns like a lamb is the United States. It's undeniable. It's all right there. We can really catch on to this fact. If you go back to Nebuchadnezzar's dream and statue, we found that it was all one statue. It was not four separate statues, which means that they are all one and the same in the end, namely Babylon. Who established ancient Babylon, do you ask? Nimrod, whom was the son of Cush. Genesis chapter 10, verse 8 tells you that. And Cush was the son of Aram, and Aram was the son of Shem, whom was the son of Noah. Nimrod built the Tower of Babel. Okay? The Tower of Babel is where Babylon gets its name from. The Tower of Babel is a tower that the people built to try to get to heaven. All right? And that's where Babylon gets its name from, Nimrod. We have the Tower of Babel, is what I mentioned, which can be represented by a certain building that is in the United States. It is currently one of the most protected buildings in the world. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some of the design of official buildings and infrastructure that are here in the United States. If you look at the Capitol building, you really look at it, and you kind of dissect what it looks like, you're going to see a lot of similarities, okay, between that and the infrastructure that was built in the Roman Empire, which was the fourth beast. And we know that because Pope Vigilus seized the seat of Caesar and seized his scepter and his power in the year 538 AD, and then he subdued 3 kings. So what is the statue that's on top of the Capitol building? Have you ever noticed that? If you Google a picture of the Capitol building, you zoom right into the top, the very, very top of the dome, there's a statue on top there. And if you even ask Google, what is the statue on top of the Capitol building called? It is going to give you a slew of different names for it, but it is Semiramis. So she was his mom and his wife. Semiramis is on top of our Capitol building. This tells us that the designers of the Capitol building, mainly the United States government, is paying tribute to Babylon. How do we know that Mystery Babylon is referring to ancient Babylon? Jeremiah tells us he prophesies of it well before Revelation and Daniel. Jeremiah 50:15 says, "Shout against her roundabout. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done unto her." Here's how you're going to be like, oh, okay, it is talking about it. So that's Jeremiah 50:15. Then you go to Revelation 18, verse 6, and it says, "Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double." That's exactly what Jeremiah just said. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. Revelation says, "In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double." They're saying the same thing, just different ways of talking, one in Greek, one in Hebrew, and different eras as well. Jeremiah 50:22 through 24 will also give you some insight into this. It says, "A sound of battle is in the land, and a great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord." The hammer of the whole earth is Babylon, which became a desolation. It was resurrected by America, most powerful nation on earth, being formed, as we've shown you in this video so far. America is without a doubt the most powerful nation on earth right now, both militarily, economically, and politically. Babylon was thrown down and then resurrected by the beast with 2 horns that came up out of the earth like a lamb. All right, that's America. From there, everything is really history until now. Right now, we are looking at the last 3.5 years of the tribulation timeline, posted 3 days ago, in which at the 7th bowl we find Mystery Babylon succumbing to judgment. Revelation 17:3, "So he carried me away into the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." 17:4, "And the woman was arrayed in purple, in scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." 17:5, "And upon her head was the name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth." 17:6, "And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration." drunken with the blood of the saints is referring to the 250 million plus people that were persecuted and killed at the stake for their faith in Christ and for refusal to worship the Pope and his decrees and image. Revelation 17:7 says, And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that carries her equals a nation or world power. Revelation 17 verse 15. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sits, so now we know that Mystery Babylon is a whore, are peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues. Waters. It says, The waters which thou sawest are people, multitudes, nations, and tongues. Where the woman sits is the seat of power. Okay? 17:18 says, And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. This woman is Semiramis, which is on the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., in the capital of the United States of America. She is the whore, the harlot, and the beast. Who is the beast? Mystery Babylon's complete destruction is after the last bowl, which will be in 2024, as the last video proved to you guys. So now I want to talk about something that'll kind of put a perspective on all of this for you. So way back in the beginning of this video, I mentioned a scripture that says, The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is found in Revelation 9 verse 1, and that is the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. So now we have a connection between Revelation 9, the 5th trumpet, and Revelation 17. They're talking about a bottomless pit. And what's the king's name over the bottomless pit? It's Abbadon, or Apollyon. The 5th trumpet happened in early 2020, and we don't even realize it. Mystery Babylon's complete destruction is after the last bowl in 2024. The Gothard Base Tunnel, which leads through the Alps in Europe, goes all the way to a place called CERN in Switzerland. And there is a statue of Shiva. Shiva is their goddess of destruction. That is in Geneva, Switzerland. Of the opening ceremony that took place just as Esther's preparation was occurring on June 6th, 2016. What you're seeing in this video is the bottomless pit being opened. And I'm telling you that would be CERN. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to open the bottomless pit. Alright, so now that you know, this is Mystery Babylon. The United States of America is Mystery Babylon. The controlling power of the United States of America is Mystery Babylon.
And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. Revelation 20 verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. Revelation 20 verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works. Revelation 20 verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Revelation 20 verse 15. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. Revelation 21:8. But the fearful, and the unbelieving, and the abominable and murderers, and whoremongers and sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars, will have their part in the lake burning with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.